The heart of Texas. A desolate expanse, sun-baked earth stretched to a horizon choked with dust devils. This was not a place for the faint of heart. Here the wind carried the whispers of forgotten souls. It spoke of long-abandoned homesteads, weathered by time and tragedy. These whispers led to a dilapidated farmhouse, standing alone, like a rotten tooth. The farmhouse was a testament to decay, its paint peeled like scabs from sun-blistered wood. The porch sagged, threatening to collapse in on itself. This was a place where hope came to die, where even the crows avoided landing. And it was here in this desolation that the legend of the Buzzsaw Lullaby took root. The wind carried more than dust and despair. It carried a low hum, faint at first, easily dismissed. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, the hum grew. It became a rhythmic throb, a mechanical heartbeat that resonated through the earth. The sound wormed its way into the minds of those foolish enough to linger. This was the Buzzsaw Lullaby, a prelude to terror, a sonic warning that echoed across the plains. Those who heard it spoke of a growing dread, a primal fear that tightened their chests and quickened their breaths. The lullaby was a harbinger, heralding the arrival of something unholy, something far more terrifying than the darkness itself. The Buzzsaw Lullaby was more than just a sound. It was a presence, an ominous force, a sentient entity that fed on fear and despair, thriving in darkness. It seeped into the very fabric of the land, twisting and contorting it into something unrecognizable. The lullaby was a siren's call, beckoning those foolish enough to seek it out, luring them deeper. As the lullaby reached its crescendo, shadows stretched and danced, creating a macabre ballet. The wind howled like a banshee, carrying the scent of decay and the metallic tang of blood, chilling to the bone. The very air crackled with anticipation, a palpable tension that pressed down on the land, suffocating. This was the witching hour, the time of night when all is still. The time when the veil between worlds thinned, and the Buzzsaw Lullaby claimed its due, leaving a haunting silence. From the depths of this desolate landscape, a figure emerged. A grotesque parody of a man, stitched together from human flesh and rusted metal. Its face was a mask of stitched-together skin, a horrifying grin frozen in place. The eyes, two empty sockets, burned with an infernal light. This was the embodiment of the Buzzsaw Lullaby, a creature born of nightmares and fueled by the terror it inflicted. Its limbs, a patchwork of flesh and bone, moved with an unsettling grace. But it was the buzzsaw clutched tightly in its mangled hand that truly terrified. The saw, its teeth caked with blood and viscera, spun with a hypnotic rhythm. Each revolution seemed to echo the beat of the Buzzsaw Lullaby. Section 5. Thrill Seekers. Miles away, oblivious to the horrors that awaited, a group of teenagers sped down a deserted highway. The night was pitch black, the only light coming from their car's headlights, slicing through the darkness. The road stretched endlessly before them, a ribbon of asphalt leading them deeper into the unknown. They were drawn to the desolate heart of Texas by stories whispered in hushed tones. Tales of eerie encounters and unexplained phenomena had reached their ears, igniting a spark of curiosity and daring. Around campfires and in dimly lit rooms, they had heard the legends that beckoned them now, legends of the Buzzsaw Lullaby and the grotesque creature it heralded. The stories spoke of a haunting melody that drifted through the trees, a lullaby that lured the unsuspecting into the forest's grasp. And within that forest, a creature of nightmares awaited, its presence felt but rarely seen. They were thrill seekers, their young minds hungry for a taste of fear. The thrill of the unknown, the adrenaline rush of facing their deepest fears, it was all too enticing to resist. Armed with flashlights and a sense of invincibility, they ventured into the night, eager to uncover the truth behind the tales. There was Jake, the self-proclaimed leader, his confidence masking a deep-seated fear. He walked ahead, his steps steady but his heart racing. He had always been the brave one, the one to take charge, but tonight even he felt the weight of the unknown pressing down on him. Next to him sat Emily, her eyes sparkling with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. She had always been fascinated by the supernatural, drawn to the mysteries that lay beyond the veil of reality. Yet, as they ventured deeper, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. In the back, Chris and Melissa huddled close, their laughter a thin veil over their growing unease. They were young, invincible. At least, that's what they believed. Their bond was strong, their friendship unbreakable, but tonight the shadows seemed to whisper doubts into their minds. They had come seeking a thrill, a story to tell, the kind of story that would make them legends among their peers, a tale of bravery and adventure. They had no idea that they were about to become part of the legend. They had no idea that they were about to become part of the legend. The night held secrets, and as they ventured further, the line between reality and myth began to blur. The thrill-seekers were about to face a night they would never forget, a night that would test their courage and change them forever. They had no idea that they were about to become part of the legend. The forest loomed ahead, its shadows deep and foreboding. The air grew colder, and the once confident group began to feel the weight of their decision. They were on the brink of an encounter that would etch their names into the annals of local lore, forever remembered as the night the thrill-seekers met the Buzzsaw Lullaby. Section 6. Dusk's Embrace. As dusk settled over the desolate landscape, the teenagers' car sputtered to a stop. They had reached their destination, the dilapidated farmhouse that stood as a monument to the Buzzsaw Lullaby. The air hung heavy with the stench of decay, and a palpable sense of dread washed over them. The silence was broken only by the sound of their own breathing and the distant hum of the wind, that low, rhythmic hum that seemed to vibrate in their chests. The Buzzsaw Lullaby. Jake, ever the brave one, stepped out of the car, his bravado a flimsy shield against the growing darkness. The others followed, their faces pale in the fading light. Section 7. The Farmhouse Beckons. The farmhouse loomed before them, its windows like vacant eyes watching their every move. The structure seemed to breathe with an eerie life of its own, as if it were waiting for their arrival. The wind howled through the gaps in the walls, sounding like the moans of the damned. It was as if the very air was filled with whispers of long-forgotten secrets, urging them to turn back. Despite their fear, a morbid curiosity drew them closer. Each step felt heavier than the last, their hearts pounding in unison with the creaking of the old wooden floorboards beneath their feet. They had come this far, driven by a desire to confront the unknown. The stories they had heard about this place were too compelling to ignore, tales of hauntings and mysterious disappearances that had plagued the town for generations. Jake reached out a trembling hand and pushed open the front door. The sound of the creaking hinges echoed through the night, sending shivers down their spines. It creaked inward, revealing a darkness so profound it seemed to suck the light from the air. The blackness was almost tangible, a thick veil that obscured everything within. The stench of decay intensified, assaulting their nostrils. It was a putrid smell, a mix of mold, rot, and something far more sinister that made their stomachs churn. Inside, the farmhouse was a tomb, filled with the ghosts of the past. Every shadow seemed to move, every creak of the floorboards felt like a whisper from another world. Cobwebs hung from every corner, and dust covered every surface. It was as if the house had been frozen in time, untouched by human hands for decades. It was a place forgotten by time and consumed by darkness. The walls seemed to close in on them, the weight of the years pressing down, making it hard to breathe. They knew they had to keep moving to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within. Section 8. Terror Unveiled. The teenagers stepped inside, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The air grew thick with anticipation, and the hum of the Buzzsaw Lullaby intensified, vibrating through their very bones. Suddenly, a shadow detached itself from the darkness at the end of the hall. It moved with an unnatural fluidity, its form shifting and contorting in the dim light. Then, with a deafening roar, the buzzsaw sprang to life. The light from the setting sun glinted off its spinning teeth, casting grotesque shadows that danced on the walls. The teenagers were trapped, their youthful bravado crumbling in the face of true horror. They had become players in a macabre game, their lives forfeit the moment they stepped inside the farmhouse. Section 9. A Harvest of Souls. The creature lunged, its buzzsaw screaming through the air. Jake, his eyes wide with terror, could only cry out before the saw ripped through him, spraying blood and viscera across the dusty floor. Emily screamed, her voice echoing through the empty house as she turned to flee. But it was too late. The creature was upon her in an instant, its buzzsaw silencing her screams forever. Chris and Melissa, paralyzed by fear, could only watch in horror as their friends were slaughtered before their eyes. They knew then that there would be no escape. The Buzzsaw Lullaby had claimed them, just as it had claimed countless souls before them. Section 10. Legend's Echo. The wind continued to howl across the desolate plains of Texas, a relentless force that seemed to carry the weight of countless untold stories. Among these stories was the faint hum of the Buzzsaw Lullaby, a sound that sent shivers down the spine of anyone who dared to listen closely. The dilapidated farmhouse stood as a silent testament to the horrors that unfolded within its walls. Its broken windows and sagging roof whispered secrets of a dark past. The teenagers, their dreams and aspirations cut short, had ventured into the unknown, seeking thrills but finding only despair. Their once bright futures were now nothing more than a fading memory, captured in old, weathered photographs that told a story of innocence lost. The farmhouse absorbed their essence, becoming a part of the legend that grew darker with each passing year. And the creature? It remained, a prisoner of its own making, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the next soul to wander too close. Bound to the land by the very terror it inflicted, the creature's presence cast a dark, foreboding shadow over the cursed grounds. The Buzzsaw Lullaby continued to echo through the night, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lay hidden in the darkness. This eerie melody served as a dark warning, a reminder that some legends are best left undisturbed, their secrets buried deep. For in the desolate heart of Texas, where the land stretches endlessly under the moonlight, the wind carries the whispers of the damned. These whispers, carried by the haunted winds, tell tales of sorrow and despair, of lives cut short and dreams shattered. The land itself seems to wait, biding its time in eerie silence for the next chapter of its dark history to unfold. It waits for the next group of thrill-seekers, those brave or foolish enough to answer its call, to step into the darkness and become part of the legend.